Hi everyone, this is Gemara review video number 4. We are going to review the next section of Gemara, which is towards the end of Berakhot Bet Amud Aleph. And we're going to start over here from Amar Mar, and we are going to go all the way until Melechol Betruma. So let's begin. Okay, so the Gemara starts off quoting a statement from the Mishnah. Amar Mar, the master or the teacher, said, Misha Kohanim Niklasim Lechol Betrumatan. You can put kind of a colon over here and a period over there. So here, Amar Mar means the teacher says. We spoke about in class how Amar Mar can mean one of three things. Most of the times when you see Amar Mar, it is about to quote you a Braita. Here is one of the few cases where it's actually not quoting the Braita, but this line over here, we can see from the top of the page on Daf Bet Amud Aleph, that this is a direct quote from a Mishnah, not from a Braita, from our Mishnah that says, from the time that Kohanim go to eat their truma, that's when you're allowed to start Kriyat Shema. And the third time that's not as frequent is when it's really just quoting somebody called Mar, which we'll see a little bit later on. So here we're quoting this line from our Mishnah of when can you start saying Kriyat Shema, from the time that Kohanim can eat their truma. Now, the Gemara is going to have a question on this. So I believe questions and challenges are in orange. Here we go. Mikdei Kohanim emat ka'achle truma, mishat seisa kochavim, litni mishat seisa kochavim. We can put some punctuation here. So here we'll put you can put a comma or even a question mark over here, and a comma over here. And let's see if we can translate. So, michte means now that or since. So now that or since, kind of now that we know that the Kohanim, ematz meaning ematai meaning when, the Kohanim, when can they actually eat truma? Right? The Mishnah uses this ambiguous term of whenever the Kohanim can eat truma. So when can the Kohanim eat truma? So the Gemara says we actually know when the Kohanim are allowed to eat truma, and that is mishat tzedek kochavim. They can actually eat it from the time that the sun, that's nighttime, right, and the stars come out. Litni, let the Mishnah just teach Mishat Seisa Kochavim. And this goes back to what we said before. Like if you ask me what does the Gemara homework do, and I tell you when it's due, when Mrs. Nurishal gives her weekly shiur, you would say that's a really weird way of telling what my Gemara homework is due. Just tell me 9 p.m. Here too, if we want to know what time Kriyat Shema, what time we can start saying Kriyat Shema, just tell us Seisa Kochavim. Why do we have to say from the time the Kohanim can eat their truma? Now we'll read the answer. So for this, we'll switch to yellow over here. And here we're going to go all the way, actually, almost all the way until Kidatanya, which we're just going to introduce our proof. And let's kind of talk about this over here. So Milta Agav Orcha Kamash Malan. And we can kind of put a comma here also. So here, this is an important concept that comes up in Gemara. Milta agav orcha, another matter in passing, kamash malan. It wanted to teach us. Which means the Mishnah was actually very intentional by not giving us the very easy explanation of saying that you can say Shema when the stars come out. It actually wanted to kind of say something extra to teach us another matter in passing, like another halacha. And what was that? Kohanim ematz ka'achle betruma. So Kohanim, when can they eat truma? Here I meant to put that as a comma over here. So when can the Kohanim eat truma? Mishat seisa kochavim. From the time of when the stars come out. So that's an extra matter that I want to teach us. Why is it important to stress that? Why did the Mishnah have to go out of its way and teach us that? Vaha kamash malan. So this comes to teach us the kapara lo me'akve. This comes to teach us that atonement does not prevent. And here it means prevent the Kohanim from eating truma. And here kapara, so again, ma'akva means prevent, or lo ma'akva means it does not prevent. And kapara, or atonement over here, is talking specifically about the act of bringing a korban. And we spoke about in class how someone who becomes tamei on their last day, kind of the process they have to go through for purification, during the day they'll go to the mikvah, then sunsets, stars come out, and now they're kind of like 90% pure or pure enough that they're allowed to eat truma. even though the next day they still have to bring korbanot. So what we're saying in this kind of answer over here is we learn a new halacha, and the Mishnah kind of wanted to say this kind of extra thing of, it's a time that kohanim can eat their truma, because everyone would know that this is, tzeitei chochavim. But why did it have to say it in that sense? Because it wanted to stress to us that, look, here's the halacha, the kohanim are allowed to eat truma on nightfall after they've gone to the mikvah, even though they still haven't brought their korban. Meaning, right, this comes to teach us that the korban they have to bring the next day, lo me'akva, does not prevent them from eating truma. Because when can they eat truma? From when the stars come out. So this teaches us, now we have an answer. So we know, first of all, when can I start reading Shema? Tzedek Kochavim, because I know that this was just, I guess, something that was well known. It's brought down in the Breita, that that the Kohanim can eat their truma when the stars come out. And it stresses to us that they're really allowed to do that then, and they don't have to wait until they bring their korban the next day. And the Gemara ends off with a proof, basically saying the exact same halacha, but now it's going to bring a source. It's going to learn it out from a pasuk. Well, actually, really, it's going to bring a Breita that's going to bring a pasuk. So here we go. So it starts off by saying ke detanya. Ke means like, detanya, taught in a Breita. So this is like what is taught in a Breita. And this Breita, so this whole source, imagine everything green here is like cut and pasted from Breita. I'm just going to actually quote a pasuk. And here in your Gemaras, you might have a little circle, you might have a little number that's telling you that a pasuk is being quoted, a 3-word pasuk over here. So we'll read it together. As it's taught in Breita, Uba Hashemesh v'taher. And again, we spoke about in class how you'd look at the Torah or which is a commentary on the side of the Gemara, which would show you this is a pasuk from Vayikra, and it'll tell you the parak. But anyways, the pasuk says when someone is trying to become pure from being tamei lamet, Uba Hashemesh v'taher, that the sun goes down. Here, Uba means to go, it doesn't mean to come, it means to set. So the sun will go down and you will become tahor. And the fact that the pasuk says that when do you become tahor? When the sun goes down, and it doesn't say that you become tahor when you bring a korban. What does this teach us? So now we're still in the Breita, but it's stopping to bring the quote of the pasuk, and it's going to explain now what we learn from that pasuk. Biat shimsho, the setting of the sun, ma'akvato melechol truma. Ma'akvato we saw over here, right? Same word, ma'akvato means to prevent. So it's saying over here that sunset prevents you from eating truma, meaning you have to wait until the sun sets and the stars come out before you're allowed to eat truma on that last day of becoming pure. Ve'ein kaparato ma'akvato melechol truma. But your kapara, that act of bringing a korban, will not prevent you from eating truma, meaning you don't have to wait for the next day to eat truma. So over here, I just kind of put our worksheet from class. If you want to freeze the video and copy it down, you can. Basically gives you, right, this is just first part of the worksheet, kind of going over some of our explanation that we just translated. Over here, the last part, the proof in the Breita, the quote from the pasuk, and what we learn out from it, and our word bank, right, just adding in Kedetanya, taught in the Breita, it comes to teach us Kamash Malan, Michte, since or now that, let the Mishnah teach us, and Amar, we said, right, could be one of those different options. And over here, I just took 2 questions from the review questions that I just thought were a little bit more complex. One of them over here is, again, how does the Gemara prove that halacha, right, that the Kohanim, are allowed to eat their truma after the sun sets, and they don't have to wait till the next day, from the pasuk of Ba Hashemesh v'taher, that waiting until sunset, the fact that we highlight over here, it's Ba Hashemesh, waiting until sunset will prevent you from eating truma. So you have to wait until sunset, but bringing a korban will not prevent you from eating truma. So you can still eat your truma and still bring your korban the next day. The analogy we gave in class also was, let's say, when are you allowed to call yourself a minor graduate, right? Let's say we say, no, going to graduation is enough to call yourself a minor graduate, even if you don't get your diploma or in the mail, your transcript until August, right? Maybe you're not fully until then, but you're enough that you can call yourself a graduate. So here too, you're tahor enough by nightfall to eat truma, even though you still have that final stage of bringing a korban. And here again, we just numbered them 1 to 3, right? Mikvah comes first. You can go during the day for when you're trying to become pure from becoming tamei. You eat your truma after nightfall, bring your korban the next day.